And she's as well a former student of Damansara Jaya and the O6 champion. The three of them are currently pursuing the A-levels at Help University College. On my left-hand side is the opposition team. First speaker, Mr. Jason Chow from Wesley Methodist, and last year's first runner-up as well. On his left, Mr. Joshua Tay, the champion of last year's national debate from Tamansi. And the third speaker, Mr. Tang Jit Young, from Tamansi as well, and the champion. The adjudicator for this exhibition debate will be Mr. Latif himself, and I, Sakshu, will be your chairperson, and Ms. Natalie would be the timekeeper. Now, just for the team's information, each speaker will have 8 minutes to speak. For substantive speeches, the bell will be rung once at the end of the first minute to indicate points of information or formal interjection can be offered. Once more at the 7th minute to indicate that no more POIs can be offered and that the debater only has 1 minute left to conclude his or her speech. And twice at the end of the 8th minute to indicate that the time has ended for his speech. For reply speeches, the bell will be rung once at the 3rd minute to indicate that there is 1 minute remaining, and twice at the end of the 4th minute to indicate the end of the speech. The motion before this House is that this House believes that maternity leave should be offered to both parents. Without any further ado, may I invite the first Speaker of the Government, Ms. Angeline Lee, to open this debate.
A very good morning to the honourable judges, chairperson and timekeeper, teachers, esteemed opponents and members of the parliament. We are gathered here today this morning to debate upon this motion, which is, this House believes that maternity leave should be offered to both parents. We strongly support the motion because our stand being that maternity leave should be offered to both parents so that the father, in addition to the mother, can be able to play a greater role during the first few months of a child's life. Therefore, I will be discussing, firstly, the significance of maternity leave to the mother, secondly, contributions of the father, and thirdly, the significance of this move onto the baby. My second speaker will be speaking about how maternity leave for both parents will strengthen the family unit, and secondly, how it will not affect the economy. My third speaker will naturally disprove all my opponent's arguments as well as further emphasize upon our stand. Ladies and gentlemen, the government will now proceed to define several of the terms in this motion, namely maternity leave, which we define as the right to take paid time off work to care for a newborn child or to make arrangements for a newborn child's welfare. Secondly, we are defining the term offering, which is to make something available or to provide an opportunity for something. And in this case, the something being maternity leave. Ladies and gentlemen, the government have also set several parameters for this debate, which are as follows. Firstly, that the paid maternity or paternity leave to be made available to both parents for a minimum time period of 1 month after the birth of the baby for the father, and 2 months after the birth of the baby for the mother. Secondly, that we are discussing only married couples and salaried workers who have been working with their employers for a certain period of time, and the amount of pay given during this paternity or maternity leave to be at the discretion of their employers, and to have been agreed upon beforehand based on the company's size and resources during the time when the employees signed a hiring agreement. In addition, they should be reinstated to the same job position as prior to the time that they have taken this leave. The onus upon the government this morning, ladies and gentlemen, is not to prove the need for maternity leave. Rather, to prove the need for maternity and paternity leave for both parents. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to start with my first point. After giving birth, a mother would have undergone extreme exertion and would definitely require time off work to recover from her 9 months of pregnancy and labor processes. The time period for this recovery of maternal reproductive organs is usually 6 to 8 weeks. This convalescence is slowed greatly by the fact that while recovering at home, she isn't just lying in bed watching the baby. She has to do a lot of things, breastfeed, change the diapers, and in a nutshell, just create a whole new routine for the household. Let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that all of us are born with 46 chromosomes, 23 from each parent. And all things being equal, ladies and gentlemen, a new baby is entitled to loving care of both parents. And such a baby definitely...
POI?
Yes.
Okay, my POI comes in two parts, basically. Firstly, are there benefits to giving this maternity leave to both parents? And is there any proof you people have available of these benefits?
Yes, there are definitely many benefits about giving paternity and maternity leave to both parents, which I will elaborate on further on in my speech, so therefore you can please pay attention to what I'm saying. So, all things being equal, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, a new baby with care of both parents is entitled to the loving care of both parents and the presence of both parents during this period. And such a baby has a distinct advantage over one that only has its mother to fully care for it. So, without the husband's presence, the mothers are also very stressed and very vulnerable to mental illnesses such as postpartum depression. Ladies and gentlemen, are you aware that 8 to 20% of mothers in the world...
Angeline?
Yes?
Is it an honest opinion of the government that maternity leave should be given to both parents?
Yes.
Thank you.
Without the husband's presence, the mothers are also very stressed and vulnerable to mental illnesses such as postpartum depression, as I have been saying. Ladies and gentlemen, are you aware that 8 to 20% of mothers in the world, and a significant number unreported, according to Medline Plus Encyclopedia, are suffering from postpartum depression? The World Health Organization has already recognized that the husband's support greatly reduces instances of this occurrence by more than 30%. And in countries such as Sweden and Canada, where paternity leave is given very generously to the employees, instances of postpartum depression is 0.01%. It is indisputable, ladies and gentlemen, that It is indisputable, ladies and gentlemen, that maternity leave should be offered to both parents because a mother's recovery will be accelerated with the presence of the husband at home. Which leads me on to my second point, which is how the father can contribute to the daily routine of the family, having been offered paternity leave. The main reason we propose paternity leave is so that a father can play a more hands-on role in bringing up his newborn child and his other children, if any. Sorry, I will not be taking any more. He can perform all the daily tasks that the mother cannot during her period of convalescence, such as taking his wife and newborn baby to the hospital for checkups, buying groceries, and so on. He also needs to cater for the physical and emotional needs of his newborn, making the entire child-rearing process more enjoyable and meaningful to both himself and his wife. He too has to get used to the new routine. Which leads me to my third point. What is the significance of allowing maternity leave to both parents onto the baby? Ladies and gentlemen, there is a reason why we propose a 1 month minimum for paternity leave. This being that a baby is at its most vulnerable during its first month of life. As I said before, this is also the period where the mother is at her most weakest. During the first month of their birth, ladies and gentlemen, termed the neonatal period, the babies are most susceptible to disease. Therefore, this period is where the mortality and morbidity rates for the babies are the highest. In Malaysia, neonatal mortality rate is 6.6%, according to the Malaysian Department of Statistics. These deaths are normally due to infections. So should an infection occur, the baby can't just tell its parents that, "Mom, I'm not feeling well." The parents have to take the initiative to take care of the baby and immediately notice very small signs of illness such as swelling and rashes. And how can they do that if they are constantly sleep-deprived, tired and busy, ladies and gentlemen? That is why maternity and paternity leave should be offered to both parents. So most of the time when they finally realize that there's something amiss with the baby, it is too late. The baby is already very ill in the second or third stages of their illness, and they may get severely ill or die. So the babies have also yet to accustom themselves to the concept of day and night. They are known to wake up bawling and hungry during many hours of the night. So what we are saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that the father's presence at home will greatly help the mother in these kind of instances. And that if in our country, 6.6% of babies are dying during the time of their first month of birth, shouldn't we offer maternity leave to both parents if this is going to decrease that percentage? So let me conclude, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have spoken on the significance of maternity leave for both parents on the child. Before I take my seat,